There, welcome back to the Greater You, working on our romantic relationship trait series, if I can get that phrase out. So we are on video 12 of this 14-part series. We've covered a lot of bases so far, and a lot of good principles and traits. Today we're working on number 12. Let's take a look at what we are discussing. Remember that all of these traits that we're looking at here, every single one of them come from, there's great research either in, like the Gottman Institute, some of their work that they've done on couples work over the years. Clearly, our own experience at the Greater U. I had 25 years of couples work under my belt so far. My very first clinical uh, counseling as a supervised therapist was a marriage counselor. I still remember that session to this day, and that was many, many years ago. It was early 2000s. So for me, this is near and dear to my heart. I absolutely love working with couples and helping them, whether it's on the counseling side or the coaching side, to really help them improve their well-being and their relationship connection and just really take our goal with all romantic relationships is to get them in that upper 10% of relationships. So today we're talking about affection versus distance. This is an important topic here. Oh boy. So affection versus distance. This usually, during the quote unquote honeymoon phase of a relationship, affection is pretty high, especially physical affection. As people get used to one another, as children maybe start to come into the relationship, and all of that stuff, or work gets more hectic. You get into that kind of those grind years of, mid to late 20s to like late 30s to into 40s. Sometimes there's this huge period of time where there's young children in the home. There's a lot going on, or even teenagers, they've got like stuff all over the place, and there's a lot of traveling and a lot of extracurriculars. And then work, usually, if one or both people have their careers going, it's kind of at the height of its career, through your 30s and 40s, maybe even into your 50s. So it's really, these are challenges that can make affection diminish. People report just being too tired to have sex, right? Because they're worn out from work and child rearing and all of the things of life. And so distance grows. This is where those watch out for those wedges, right? So affection is clearly important. There's two types of physical affection. You've got non-sexual and sexual, and I would say that both are very, very important, and that all people really need a high amount of non-sexual physical touch. There are some people out there that are really kind of tactily sensitive. You have to think about that in your relationship. If there's people that, if you're dating or courting someone that doesn't really have the same level of affection it needs that you do, you got to take that into account. And it might actually be a deal breaker when you're early in the relationship. And that's okay. It can be, right? You've got to have people that match, what you're wanting in the relationship and what you can give in the relationship. It's not the end all be all, right? I mean, there are times and seasons in people's lives where affection, by just virtue of the busyness of life and everything else, or health or other things, make it so affection can be less. But can't you still sit on the couch and hold hands, right? Can't there still be kisses and hugs? And there definitely should be. So physical affection is very important. Think about it. Your skin is your largest organ on your body. Covers the whole thing, wraps it all around, right? And it's a huge sensory data input system. It's interesting if you think about and look into the research on development of children, early childhood development, especially like babies, infants. Physical affection by their caregivers is essential for their brain development. It's essential for their attachment style to develop a secure attachment. All of those, kissing of the pudgy little hands of those cute little babies, and all of that affection is so good for them. They need it in order to grow appropriately. And so affection is huge. So think about that. If you've become cold and distant, you need to warm up because that person that you're getting distant with, your partner, is going to seek it elsewhere. Um, or they're just going to feel love starved or skin starved and just feel like they're living in Antarctica or a museum where you can look and can't touch. And that's terrible for romantic relationships. So when we're trying to get people to increase their affection in their romantic relationships, if it's been kind of on the waning side, we start small. It's like, hey, remember to hold hands when you go for a walk. Take that walk together. Make sure that you carve out in your schedule. We are so adamant about the weekly date night, come hell or high water, in all of our romantic relationships. We recommend everyone at the Greater U, all of us coaches, weekly date nights where you're carving out a time where you're spending time with your significant other without other distractions, spending time communicating, connecting, physically touching, hugging, all the things, time for sex, all that stuff needs to happen at least once a week, if health and everything else allows. So that affection creates a bedrock of trust and creates a bedrock of closeness. It creates more emotional intimacy when there's more physical connection. And then the other thing is if we're going to be talking about affection, there's a whole other set of coaching that needs to go on, which is romantic relationship coaching around proper sexual activity and how to actually engage your spouse or your significant other in ways that is actually going to be meaningful and connecting. And the hints are it's nothing like the garbage you see on television. Um, yeah, of course, it can be adventurous and fun, but it really needs to be, about you and your spouse figuring out each other and showing genuine generosity, love, affection, patience, kindness, all there in your physical affection, not just in your sexual relationship, but in all aspects of the physical part of your relationship. The hand holding, the hugs, the arm in arm, the kissing, and everything else that should be going on as a part of a healthy romantic relationship. Truly distant relationships, is that really a romantic relationship anymore? Not really, right? Could be a partnership. You might be good friends still. You might be good buds. You might be business partners. But without affection, physical affection, a lot of the components of a romantic relationship can wane. If we don't follow up giving some roses with a kiss and a hug, did the roses totally land? I don't know. So perhaps I've got some bias around this, and if I do, admittedly, I'm not going to let go of it because I see the importance of affection in all the couples I've worked with over many, many years. So seek to be affectionate. You don't have to be ridiculous about it. I'm not talking about being clingy or suffocating. That is not it at all. We're talking about appropriate levels of physical connection with your significant other and being warm to it. There's a physiological warmth around affection that helps a person feel soothed, loved, and connected. Train yourselves to be more affectionate, overcome whatever stigmas you have in your mind or your culture that are holding you back from being able to be more loving and warm with your significant other. And you'll find that it really it creates an investment account emotionally in the relationship that will build and grow over time. So, it's funny. There's one last anecdote. I was in a seminar years ago. Rod Baumeister, major researcher in willpower and such out of, I think, the University of Florida, and he was sharing some really interesting stuff. And he was saying they did brain imaging on, you know, really happy couples at various like stages, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in their marriage or, long-term committed relationship. And they found that the same areas in those really healthy, like relationships where people are reporting that they're still totally in love and happy in their relationship, when these people experience physical touch from their spouse, the same areas of their brain lit up with the same strength as it did in the honeymoon phase of other relationships. Think about that. 30 years into a marriage, the same areas, that same level of desire and attraction for the spouse is still there. That's powerful. And that's created by keeping good, healthy physical affection in your romantic partnership. All right, that's it for this one. Like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. What did you think about this one? And yeah, it's a challenging one for some people, but I'm telling you, it'll pay dividends in your relationships. There's more to come from the greater you. Good to see you today. Take care, and we'll talk soon.